just kind of throw him in his typical rotation to see how he is out there? Or do you really kind of have to?
No, I don't know if I would say that I have a minute restriction on him, but there's no question that I think, just visiting with him and talking to him and the fact because of what happened and the time with his family, he really hasn't done anything in a week. So I'm not going into the game with the anticipation, one, his conditioning probably is not going to quite be there. I'm sure his legs are not going to be there, but we've got to slowly work him in. But there's not a minute restriction in terms of what I'm looking at number-wise. Certainly we're going to use him and put him in there and see how he responds and see where he's at. But I think to look at his overall minutes this year and to say that he's going to get that tonight, I don't think that would be the case.
They're expected to start smart on Kevin. I mean, do you try to get Kevin in post-up type situations early?
Well, I think we've got to do what we do. I think the one thing was smart, and again, I've been around him for 2 years. He is a terrific defender, and I don't think for him size necessarily makes a lot of difference because he's extremely physical. He gets underused, active with his hands. He can move guys off space. He gives great effort. He can get over screens. I think that for us, offensively, we've got to, run our offense and be mindful. And I think Kevin being mindful that, he's going to obviously and has been a physical defender for most of his career, even going back to high school. It's just always what he's done, and he does a great job at it.
Billy, you mentioned the defense and how you guys have played the last 5 games or so. What is the level of concern, though, from the All-Star break to now with the way you guys have played?
Well, I think one thing is looking at it, the level of opponents on a consistent basis coming at the All-Star break, in my opinion, is really, really elevated. And it's been good because I think what's happened is there's been some things that have gone on before the All-Star break that I think a lot of times the coach you try to shine a light on. But at times, because you win, you don't really look at those things as being necessarily a challenge. So for us, I think when you're playing against good teams, we've had some times before the All-Star break where we maybe had a lapse for 3, 4, 5 minutes. And you know what? We were able to overcome it and find a way to win. Now with the teams that we're playing, it's hard to do that. And, playoffs obviously being a month away, you want to be as consistent as you can. So I think that this has been healthy for our team because I think it's forced us, it's stretched us to get better, to improve. It's forced us to look at ourselves in areas that we've got to improve, and it's forced us to make a commitment in those areas to really make significant growth. And I think the last 5 games we've guarded well. Can we sustain that and become consistent at it?
Have Steven and Ennis been overlooked? It's strange to ask that question in that way, but in terms of the performance of the bigs on your team.
Well, I think those 2 guys have played well, and obviously with our team, everybody's going to talk about Russell and Kevin, and rightfully so. They're 2 of the best stars in this league. But I think Steven's had a really, really good year. I think Ennis here the last few games has come on and played very, very well. Both of those guys are important ingredients to our team. They give us size, the strength. I think Steven's gotten better scoring the ball. I think Ennis has always been kind of a proven scorer since he's been in the league. He's always put up pretty good numbers. But both of those guys are important to us.
You guys have like a historic offensive rebounding rate. I mean, is that something you practice and work on, or is it just the personnel you have just go out and get offensive?
Well, I think there's a balance there because of the length and because of Russell. You have some unique situations that unfold based on spacing on the floor. So, if Russell penetrates and kicks the ball back out and he's below the free throw line, we give him some free runs to go in there and grab rebounds because he's really, really good at it. If he's behind the free throw line, we would prefer him to get back instead of just trying to charge in there. Ennis is a guy I think does it through positioning. He's really good, especially when he's along the baseline. He can kind of carve out position. And I think Kevin, when he is around the basket with his length, can do a good job offensive rebounding. So, you don't want to get to a situation where you're going so hard at the glass that you don't come up with a lot of those rebounds and you're really vulnerable on the back end in transition. So there's a balance there, but I do feel it's a strength of our team and it's something we need to constantly, continually emphasize and work on and try to get better, not at the expense of being really poor in transition.
Bill, what's it like coaching Kevin Durant?
And from what standpoint?
Just having him on your team.
I look at it a little bit differently maybe than most because of the kind of guy he is. He's obviously an incredible talent, an incredible ability, but the one thing that becomes crystal clear when you're around him, and I really wish a lot of younger players could see him because of his work ethic. in the gym all the time early. I've said this before. I've never seen him go on the floor in a shoot around or a practice or a warm up and not take a game speed shot. Everything's at a very, very high intensity level. He's very, very focused. He's very, very driven, and there's a reason why he's been so successful. And I think beyond that part of it, the basketball part of it, he's a great guy. You know, he's a good person to the core and to his heart, and he's very, very caring. I think he's unselfish. So I've enjoyed that part of it. I think people look at the stardom part of it and see him. But I think when you're with him every single day, there's different things that you grow to appreciate that a lot of people can't appreciate because they're not around him every day.
Billy, I'm sure you're focused on this season and this game. Is there any part of you that gets nervous every time you're in a different city and Kevin says something nice about that city?
No, I think Kevin has always been respectful. That's my point. He's a great guy. I don't think Kevin would ever say anything derogatory about another team or a player or things like that. That's just not who he is. And I think when he gets put into those situations, he's only going to say positive things because that's who he is.
Any thoughts about the Friars?
I love the Friars. What do you want to know about them?
Well, they're in the tournament.
I'm happy for him. Ed Cooley, he and I shared a summer or two ago together at USA, and he's done a great job. I love him to death. He's a great guy. He and my sister went to college together, so I've known Ed for a long time, and happy that they're still playing basketball.